Now, come to the second section of your class 11th history. This section is related to the empires, how the empires were built, how they were established in the world. And now the chapter that I am going to start is related to an empire across three continents. So what this chapter is all about? This chapter is related to the establishment of a vast empire which was known as the Roman Empire or the Roman civilization. So, Roman civilization. Roman civilization has originated from Rome. Rome is the capital city of Italy, and from this, the Roman civilization was established in a vast area of three continents. So, what this vast area was? This Roman civilization was covering a vast area of the whole Europe till West Asia up to North Africa. So, in this way, the Romans managed to establish a very vast empire across three continents, that is the Europe till Central Asia and up to North Africa. And they were managing the trade links with these three continents with the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea, which lies in between these three continents, served as a trade route and served as a major link to establish contact with these three continents. And with the help of the Mediterranean Sea, the Roman kings were ruling upon these three continents. Okay, now let's come to the lesson. So this is all about the introduction of the empires. What was the introduction? Introduction was that how the empires were established and how they extended to the other areas. So here it is saying that over the 2 millennia that followed the establishment of empire in Mesopotamia, various attempts at empire building took place across the region and in the area of west and east of it. So in this section third, we are going to know how after the oldest civilization of the world, that is the Mesopotamian civilization, which is now present day Iraq, how the establishment of these big empire were established in other parts of the world, like you in the earliest civilization, okay, Mesopotamia, Greek cities and their colonial benefited from improvements in trade and were the result of these changes. So, Mesopotamia itself was a very developed civilization of which existed 6000 BCE, that is before Common Era, and it was an urban civilization, and this was the first civilization where the people learned the art of writing. The writing developed, and also they built magnificent cities like Babylon and Urk and Mari, which were also considered as temple cities. But after this great civilization, then after the great civilization of Mesopotamia, then there was no such big civilization in the world. But as you know that Alexander, who was the emperor of Macedonia, which is a very small country near Greece, he was the one who was not only brave, but he was also very ambitious, and he had a dream of conquering the whole world. And in this way he set out to conquer the when he set out to conquer the whole world, first of all he defeated many parts of the Europe, and then uh, till West Asia he managed to make his own Hellenistic empire. And in this way, with the influence of Alexander, whose main language was Greek, the whole Europe was divided into two language group. The Western Europe, they spoke mostly Latin language, whereas the Eastern Europe, it spoke only the Greek language. But after the fall of the Alexander, the whole empire which was established by the Alexander, it was disintegrated, and many small states came up, and these small states were ruled by their own monarchs, and there was not a big empire. But at that time, Rome, which was the capital city of Italy, it became very powerful, because this was the only country which was ruled by the senates, and these senates were the elected representatives of the people. In this way, apart from other European countries, in Rome a republican form of government was there, where the real power was in the hand of the elected representatives, and they were the senate, uh, who are the who are coming from rich background, and these rich people, they were holding the power of the Rome. So Rome at that time emerged as a very powerful country, and it managed to establish a vast civilization, that is a Roman civilization, across three continents, that is the west till whole Europe, till West Asia, and till North Africa. Okay, now so you can see these are the timelines. And now come to the lesson, that is the theme 3, an empire across three continents. The Roman Empire covered a vast stretch of territory that included most of Europe, as we know it today, and a large part of the Fertile Crescent and North Africa. So I have told you the vast extension of the Roman Empire, that it covered the whole Europe till West Asia and till North Africa. In this chapter, we shall look at the way these empires was organized. Okay, so how in this chapter we are going to study, we are going to know how such a big empire was ruled by the Roman kings and the elected representatives of the people, that is the Senate, and how they managed control over such a big empire. Okay, now see, you will see that the empire embraced a wealth of local cultures and languages, means the people who were living in this vast empire, they were coming from different background, they were speaking different languages, and they were the belong to the different ethnic groups. Okay, so the population that was living in such a vast empire, it comprises of a pluralistic population, which was different from each other, means they were speaking different languages, as well as they were coming from different religion and cultural background. And how the Roman kings they managed to not only to establish such a vast empire but to rule upon the people who were very much different from each other. Like not only they were different because they were speaking different languages or they were coming from different ethnic backgrounds, but racially also they were different from each other. Like the people of the North Africa, they were different from the people who were living in Europe, and the people of Europe, they were different from the people who were living in the West Asia. Okay, now, but this whole empire was controlled and managed by the slaves. So slaves was also one of the important, you can say, feature of the Roman civilization, because with the help of the slaves they used to manage all the work, and the division of the labor depended upon the slaves. All the architecture of the Roman civilization as well as most of the work was done with the help of slaves. So slaves, they formed the main feature of the Roman civilization. Okay, now I'm going to read something. You will see that the empire is a wealth of local cultures and languages. This I have already explained you. Women had a stronger legal position, means the women who were living in the Roman Empire, they were more free and they were having more power than the women of that time of other civilizations, because the women, they were having some rights of their own, they were having their legal rights, and they were in possession of their property. Okay, so they were having their own identity also in the society. uh, okay, now, okay, here it is saying that women had a stronger legal position than that they do in many countries today, but also that much of the economy was run on a slave labor. This I have already explained you. Now here it is, see, the caliphate which you will read about. So the caliphate emerged later on after the Roman civilization disintegrated. So that the caliphate, we I will cover in your next lecture, because till this time the caliphate was not in the existence. Okay, now Roman historians. So, how the historians have revived the Roman culture and their history. Okay, so and what during the reviving of the history of the Roman civilization, what they have learnt and what they have understood, that I'm going to tell you with the help of the Roman historians. Roman historians have a rich collection of sources to go on. Means the history of the Roman civilization can be traced out with the help of, not only with the help of the archaeological evidences, but with the help of the literary sources also. Means many books related to the Roman literature have been found during the excavations and also the archaeological evidences. So the historians have a wide variety of the sources to study and to reconstruct the Roman civilization. Okay. Roman historians have a rich collection of sources, which we can broadly divide into three groups: text, then documents, and material remains. Textual sources include histories of the period written by the contemporaries. Contemporaries means that during the time of the Roman civilization, besides the besides the educated allied people of the Rome who have written about the history, the people of the other civilization which existed during the same time, they have also written the history of the Roman civilization. Like, besides Roman civilization, one more powerful civilization existed during that time, and that civilization was known as the Persian civilization, or you can say the Parthian civilization, and it was ruling over the whole East Asia. Okay, so the rulers of the Persia, they were considered as the Parthian. Later on, they were known as the Sasanians, and they have also established a very powerful empire in the East Asia. So, along with the Roman civilization, another civilization which existed during that time was related to the Persian civilization, and the people who have visited Rome during that time, they have also written something about the Rome, and their histories are also available to the historians to study about the Roman civilization, and these are known as, their records are known as annals. Okay, because the narrative was constructed on a year by year basis. Letters, speeches, sermons, law, and so on. Documentary sources include the mainly inscription and papyri, and documents like the legal documents, means the whatever the official orders were placed by the kings or the senate, these orders were written down either in the form of the inscriptions, means they were either carved out on the rock pillars, or they were written on the papyri. So papyri was a paper like thing in which they used to write, and this papyri was obtained from the plant papyrus, which was a reed like plant, and it was mostly grown in the North Africa. So from North Africa this plant was obtained, and in that they used to write on the with the means paper like thing that they were making, papyri, and in this they were writing all the records. Okay, letters and official documents survived on papyrus and have been published by scholars who are called the papyrologists, means who study about these documents which were written in this object papyri like, they who study about this, they are known as papyrologists. Many material remains include a very wide assortment of items, mainly like which are found through the excavations by the archaeologists and field survey. For example, structures, all kind of structures, then pottery, coins, mosaics, and even entire landscape. Okay, so this you have now come to this. So, which two powerful empires were ruling at that time over the most after the end of the Mesopotamian civilization and end of the Hellenistic culture? The two powerful empire, they managed to control the whole Europe and the Asia, and they were from the west, that was the Roman civilization, and from the east, that was the Persian civilization, which was also known as the Parthians or the Sasanians. Okay, now when this civilization existed, this Roman civilization, which was the most powerful and vastly extended civilization, it existed before the birth of the Christ. Okay, and the early part of the part of the 7th century say down to the 630. The two empires were Rome and Iran. The Roman and the Iranian. So Iran was first known with the name of Persia. Were rivals and were against each other for much of their history. Okay, these empires lay next to each other, separated only by a narrow strip of land that ran along the river Euphrates. So the empire of the Iran was from starting from the West Asia, that is from Iraq, till it was covering the till East Asia, and the Roman Empire, a vast extension from the whole Europe till the West Asia, that is till the Iraq. Okay, so you can see the map of the Europe, and here you can see that how much was the extension of the Roman civilization. Okay, now you can see that Africa, so this whole North Africa means, which is also a desert area, very big desert, the world biggest desert of the earth lies in this North Africa, that is the Sahara desert. And Egypt also come, which was also there in the North Africa, was once the part of the Roman civilization. Okay, now this vast stretch of territory was the Roman Empire. Iran controlled the whole area south of the Caspian Sea down to eastern Arabia, and sometimes large part of Afghanistan as well. So whereas the Iran was controlling from Caspian Sea till the southern part, till eastern part of the Arabia and till Afghanistan. So Iran extension was from the southern part, from the eastern part of the Arab Peninsula till Afghanistan. And then these two superpowers had divided most of the world, that the Chinese called the Ta Chin, means at that time Chinese civilization was also there, and it has seen and it has observed these two civilizations, and it has referred in their book, in their history, it as Ta Chin. The early empire. Now the Roman civilization can be broadly categorized into two parts. From the 1st to the 3rd century is regarded as the early Roman Empire, and from the 3rd to the 5th century is regarded as the late Roman Empire, or it is also referred to as the late antiquity. Okay, so from the 1st to 3rd century is related to the empire which existed before the birth of the Christ, and from the 4th to the 5th century, you can say late part of the 3rd, and then 4th and 5th century is regarded to as late antiquity, and it is regarded as AD, referred to as AD, because at that time the Christ was born. Okay, now a major difference between the two superpowers and their respective empires was that the Roman Empire was culturally much more diverse than that of the Iran. Means what was the now basic difference between the Roman and the other empire was that Roman Empire was more diverse than the Iran, because in Iran mostly the population which belonged to same type of category, they were living over there, but because the Roman Empire extension was till 3 continents, so not only the people who are coming from different background or speaking different languages were living over there, but they belong to different racial groups also. Okay, so its population is more diverse than that of the Iranian. Okay, now The Europe was again also divided into two groups. First, the Western Europe, the most of the people they were speaking Latin English, and that's why it was also known as Latin Europe. Whereas the eastern part of the Europe, the people who were still speaking the Greek language, they were that part of the Europe was considered as Greek Europe. Okay, all those who lived in the empire were subjects of a single ruler. Means at that time monarchical rule was prevailing in the world, and mostly the people who were living in the under the monarchical rule, they were under the complete mercy of their kings, and hence the monarchs were controlling upon these people who were known as subjects. Subjects means those people who are under the complete dependence of their ruler. Now, so first in the first to the third century, before the Octavian Caesar had ascended the throne. Octavian Caesar is also referred as Augustus in history, in the world history, and he established the Principate. So he is one of the greatest Roman king or Roman monarch who changed the political system of the Roman Empire. So how he changed the political system of the Roman Empire? Because before him, even Julius Caesar, he tried to change the political system by taking all the powers from the elected senates and concentrating with the king, that is the monarch. But he was not successful in that, because he was conspired by his own loyal members of the senate, and he was murdered by them. So he was not able to do. But his adopted son, that is the Octavian Caesar, who was also known as the Augustus, when he ascended the throne in in 27 BCE, then he led to the transformation of the political system by concentrating all the powers with him, making himself an autocrat, and in this way establishing an autocracy in the Roman Empire, which he named it as Principate, in which the king was all powerful. He was having not only the powers to legislate, to execute, but also to do judiciary, and the elected senates, they were also under the supervision of the king. Means they were not having the power, they only have to execute the orders. But that all these elected senates should not feel bad. He did not declare himself as the monarch. Instead, he declared himself as the leading citizen of the Rome. The regime established by Augustus, the first emperor, in 27 BCE was called the Principate. So, in the early Roman Empire, which started from the 1st to 3rd century, there was a transformation in the political system. That is, the power from the Senate slipped to the monarchs under the Octavian Caesar, and in this way the republican form of government transformed into an autocratic form of government, that is the monarchical rule. So in this way Octavian Caesar restarted the monarchical rule and declared it as Principate, where all the powers lies with the Roman emperor. Okay, so next to the emperor and the senate, the other key institution of the रूल इम्पीरियल रूल वॉज द आर्मी. मतलब इन तीनों के अलावा भी एक जो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभा रहा था रोमन शासन काल में, वो कौन था? सेना. तो सेना का भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण जो था एक मतलब रोल था. एंड इट वॉज ऑल्सो ऑल पावरफुल एंड मोस्टली this army was not only playing a very major role, but the army was only deciding that who will be the next emperor to inherit the throne of the Roman Empire. So the prince who is having confidence of the army, that prince is set to inherit the throne. So in this way, army was also setting the future of the Roman civilization. Okay, now this I will read so that it is more clear to you. Next to the emperor and the senate, the other key institution of the imperial rule was the army. Unlike the army of its rival in the Persian and empire, which was conscripted. Conscripted army means where the soldiers were forcibly recruited and they are not trained. Means forcibly recruitment is done for appointing them as the soldiers of the army. Means the people are not willing to join the army, but they are forcibly recruited. And then these type of people who are forcibly recruited, they are mostly untrained and they are required only during the time of wars. And once the war ended, then these people who are forcibly recruited, they are told to go back to their own places and to start with the occupation that they were already having. Okay, but here in the Roman civilization, the army of the Rome was not only large, but it was a trained army of the trained soldiers who were getting fixed salaries for the work they were offering to their own empire. The army was the largest single organized body of in the empire, 6 lakhs by the 4th century, and it certainly had the power to determine the fate of the emperors. Okay, now again our picture of the Roman army depends largely on the way they were portrayed by historians. Okay, now come to this. External warfare was also much less common in the first two centuries. So it is saying that during the first 2 centuries was also regarded as a very peaceful time of the Roman civilization, and where peace exists, the economic prosperity also happens in that particular area. So this first to the 3rd century, it was a very peaceful time for the Roman civilization due to the political stability which was created by the Octavian Caesar, who established Principate, and there was no means not only internal peace was maintained, but also no wars were waged against the other countries, and so peace was also maintained externally, and so it led to the economic prosperity. But from the 3rd to the 5th century, that is the late antiquity, it was a time of all type of confusion and chaos of the internal strifes, and even led to the civil wars, but also the Roman Empire was threatened by the by the Iranian Empire. When the Sasanians they inherited the throne, then they gave severe blow to the Roman Empire, and also the Germanic tribes of the Roman Empire from Gaul. They also tried to declare themselves as independent, and they were also so in the from the west as well as toward the east. The Roman got severe bolts, which ultimately led to the disintegration of such a very big, vast and powerful Roman Empire. So this much I have covered. So next I will give you in the next lecture. Thank you students. I hope that you have understood and you have enjoyed it. So please like and subscribe it.